Yo, what's up YouTube? Tigz here bringing you guys another Escape from Tarkov video. Once again, another Tarkov video about the state of the game, my thoughts on the wipe, and just overall positives and negatives for the wipe, I guess. I will say before the video starts, guys, I actually do enjoy parts of this wipe. Genuinely, I do. I really do enjoy parts of this wipe, but I understand that I can enjoy those parts of the wipe because I have access to the time to play the game that much. If I didn't have access to all this time to play the game that much, I probably wouldn't enjoy it either. And that's a big thing people don't seem to understand. The time aspect is huge. I can play it. I stream the game. I've got the extra time to play it and get through the suffering and then actually have some fun moments. So I'm actually not against the wipe like 100%. There's things I really like about the wipe, but there's also a lot of pros and cons, right? A lot of pros and cons. So in this video, I'm going to quickly go through those and explain to you why I think this wipe was kind of doomed to begin with. And I think it's just basically they half-assed it, and that was the one thing I was worried about. I was under the impression that they didn't at the before the wipe started, because Nikita was tweeting about things that were going to come and things that they've changed, like the nerfs to ref and scaverns, etc. And I was like, wait, they might have actually thought this through. So I was actually really like a lot more excited for the wipe because of that, but it didn't turn out that way. I actually think the wipe was half-assed, sadly. So I'm going to explain to you why I think that was. So let's just get straight into like the worst part, okay? The worst part about this wipe that I think has completely devalued the idea of hardcore. Okay, the transits. Guys, transition zones have been in the game for over a year now. From what I remember, it was BSG's solution to open world Tarkov. Because obviously connecting all maps is one. I don't think they have the technology to do that, and I don't think the performance is even like viable to have all Tarkov maps into one like raid and frame rate, right? Like I just don't think it's possible. So I think they made transit as like a solution to that, to like, you know, try and encourage people to kind of interact with it a little bit and make it feel a little bit more open world. Now the problem arises from transit zones, which is, this is what I brought up last wipe before this wipe was even spoken about. We were like, you know, theory crafting, if they did do a hardcore wipe, like what would the things be that would ruin it? This is one of the main things. We told them about it, and we've also, me and many other people have spoken about it on stream and tried to get the bug fixed, and we don't think it's fixable, clearly. And I'll explain something else too before we get to the next part. Last wipe, BSG did an update to the game just before the wipe happened, like maybe a week before or 2 weeks before. It was just like a game update. That game update that they did basically made it, if you do the transit bug, it gives you a survive status. What I mean by that survive status is the quest, like say you've got a quest that says survive, it was given survive status for that. You would literally go and raid, go to a transit zone, wait 2 minutes, and then Alt F4 as you load to the next map. And it would give you survive status. Now normally in Tarkov, you gotta wait 7 minutes to do that through an actual extract. So it is almost a buff to the bug that is like contradicting to the hardcore wipe. Now listen, I know people are going to get really upset about this, but I just feel like this is true. Majority of the people that are aware of the transit bug, which is a lot of people that play the game, will abuse it, regardless of streamers or not. It's just a fact. Almost all the streamers I know and interact with, even some of the big guys like Landmark and Pestilly, they were all abusing it early on in this wipe. I'm not saying that's okay, but they're abusing it because I think they know deep down it's not fixable. And a lot of other people that play the game normally, like other players, will also do the same. And for the guys that are not updated on this exploit, it basically makes it so any map that's got transit zones to other maps, some maps have like 4 of them, I think, like streets and like other maps, it basically turns those transition zones into extracts, and you can do them within 2 minutes. So this also has a major effect on like survive status and getting items out that you need. And it's a pretty bad exploit. And I was sent to my chat like, dude, they got to fix this or just disable transits, because if you're having a hardcore wipe, you've either got to go like all in or all out. And the problem is right now with this wipe, they've gone in with a lot of really good stuff, which I'll praise. Obviously they have. They've really thought about some stuff like the scavs and the ref and the insurance and stuff like that. Really good. But then they haven't gone all in on the other areas. So those other areas that they haven't gone all in has been completely contradicting to the wipe. And I think that is why this wipe has become one of the most hated wipes of all time, which we knew was going to happen anyway, because people don't want the game to be hardcore, which I can understand, but I think it's amplified to a whole nother level of drama, right? And I think it's because of that. I actually do think a lot more people would have liked this wipe if it was done correctly. And listen, I'm not a developer and I don't know the ways to make this be done correctly. All I can see is that objectively, they didn't go all in on the things that they should have thought about. And the biggest one is the transit zones. Dude, it gets a whole lot worse. But yeah, they didn't go all in properly, and I think that's the problem with this wipe. And you could also argue, look, the 100% boss spawn rates contradict the hardcore wipe, because if you're good at the game, you can get tier 5 armor, tier 6 helmet, good ammo, etc. Now, that's a whole nother topic we'll talk about later on in the video, but you get where I'm coming from, right? So you've got a bug in the game, like a transit bug, and it's been in, and it's been known about by the community for a long time. And basically, there was also another bug at the start of the wipe where you could just queue any map. One of the devs came into chat and was flaming us, saying like, do that again. I think he was insinuating, do it again and we'll ban you. Which is fine. I respect that. No problem. We won't do it ever again. Okay, we won't do it. The problem is with that, though, again, they didn't do the same to Pestilli, Landmark, or anyone else that was abusing the bug, which I just think is ridiculous, right? It's just stupid. I get it, but we told you about this bug, and a lot of your player base is going to abuse it. And I'm not trying to defend the bug abuse, but it's like, we clearly know that it's not fixable, so people are going to continue to do it. I spoke to Pestilli about this in DMs, and Pestilli was obviously annoyed, and he told me he's still using the transit as an extract, as well as many other people. I went to the Landmark stream, he was doing the same. I went into Hutch's, he was doing the same. None of those guys got warned to stop doing that. So that was also another issue, which I just thought was really stupid, and obviously Tarkov moment. So, what was the solution that they should have done? They should have completely scrapped the transit zones, or provided an other alternative to the problem of the transit zones. So, in my mind, what I thought was, they made transit zones as a way to slow the raids down, and add that artificial difficulty of trying to get to the better maps for better loot. Which makes sense, right? That's pretty cool. I like the idea, but the execution is awful. And when there's bugs in the game like the one we've just described for the last 5 minutes, you can see why it was destined to fail from the get-go. Now, on top of that, if you account for all of the queue times in between each map that you're traveling to, you can see why people are starting to say this is the worst wipe ever. Because you are genuinely spending 20 minutes of matching time, maybe even longer, to get to the map that you intended to. And by the way, this doesn't account for the other transit bug that has been present this wipe. If you guys don't understand what this is, basically, if you were to transit into a map, like the actual like method, transit into a different map. Me, Hyper, and Vonza also experienced this a lot, and we were like, we're taking advantage of the fact that it was a thing to prove to you guys how fucking broken that is for the Tarkov wipe. You load in, and every player on the map gets segmented to a certain part of the map every single raid. It is always the same. So you would literally get 12 players spawning within like the tiniest little area where you could shoot each other within like 5 to 10 seconds off spawn. Now this was really bad. Why? Because it's not just squads that were like fighting squads. It was squads versus solo players. There was one of our first transition raids. I was like, wait guys, we spawned next to a spawn. Check it. I looked across 20 meters away on interchange. There was a solo guy on his own. All three of us looked at him, killed him instantly. If you were a solo player, now you're starting to see why people are getting pissed off with this wipe and why they don't like it. Because bugs like that exist. From my understanding now, that has been fixed and changed. But you can see how that has also added a negative to their wipe. But one thing that hasn't fixed or changed is the transit bug, the Alt F4 thing, and the long queue times, obviously. And I think that's what people dislike the most. I also very much dislike the transit stuff as well. Mainly due to the queue times and mainly due to the contradiction of Alt F4 and extracts through the transit zones. This makes the game not hardcore being able to do that. And it gives you all of the loot, bro. It's 2 minutes and you can get out of the raid. It's ridiculous. And you've got to be naive to think that the player base won't abuse this because it's been abused for over a year now. If it was me, bro, I would have just completely scrapped the transition zone because of two things. One, the absurdly long queue times, which is what most people have problems with. And two, the bug. That's also another thing. Those two things right there are the biggest things that are awful for this wipe. So I was like, hey, Nikita, you know, I'm not saying this is the fix or the solution, but it's better than just complaining. Instead of transit locking maps with the bugs and long queue times, maybe just level lock them instead. Could be a way better alternate to transitioning. This would essentially fix the issue of what is going on with the game right now with the transition zones. You get the same effect, which is you can't access the high tier maps that have better loot until you've hit the certain level. And then people don't have to deal with the long queue times, and then you don't have to deal with people abusing the transit bug. People will still abuse it unless you disable it, but at least this is an alternative to what you currently have. And I tweeted this like on the, I don't know, day 1 or day 2 of wipe. There's also way better ideas than this. I'm sure someone could come up with something, but it's not like they're out of options, and it clearly seems like they don't care about the feedback at all. They could have done anything else but the transition zones, and we did warn them. But anyway, that's that side of this part of this video over. I think you guys understand that. Moving on to the next part of this video. Let's just talk about the Twitch viewership on Tarkov for a second here. Now, I know Twitch drops aren't available, and I do know that Twitch drops are a big portion of the viewership that make people want to watch, because free loot equals fun. I get that. We were all prepared for what this wipe was about to be, and that was hardcore. That's what it was advertised at. So you cannot be surprised that it's going to be miserable and, you know, unfun to some extent. I think a lot of the reason why it's miserable and unfun, though, comes from lack of going all in on the hardcore stuff, and incompetence with many different areas. Not so much because it's not fun. I actually personally enjoy it. A lot of things about it. But yeah, as you guys can see here, the wipe happened. It peaked at 67,000 viewers, which isn't bad in my opinion. But when you compare it to previous wipes, you know, wow, that's a big difference. And I know some of these wipes had drops, and ever since like 2023, it's been a gradual decline. And I mean, the best wipes that we had of Tarkov, at least on Twitch, as viewership and engagement, was like 2021 to 2023. And again, COVID was around this time, so you can also argue that that inflated numbers. That is true. I agree with you. But personally, from me, I do think Tarkov from 2019 to 2020 was some of the best Tarkov I've ever played, regardless of what you like Tarkov for. And from what I can remember from those days, the community was thriving. Everyone was a lot more positive, and everyone enjoyed the game, man. The things we'd bitch about back in the day was desync, hatchet runners, and cheaters. That was it, bro. Nowadays, we're bitching about everything because the game has so many issues, man. And it's fine. Bitching is fine. It's good. Bitching is good. You want people to bitch about your game. Why? Because it's feedback. Feedback is essential to improvement, and that's just how it is, man. But yeah, the point was with this, the graph here was Nikita made a tweet here. Let me find it. How does the current player count look compared to other normal wipes? He said way more than usual. Now, based off this metric here alone, I think that's just cap, and I'm hoping Nikita can prove us all wrong, but the interest is at an all-time low, man, for viewership. And Tarkov's a very heavy integrated game with Twitch, and I would argue that a lot of people that like Tarkov also probably watch it. Not everyone, but I would say that is a true, and obviously I can't prove that. That's just how I feel. You'll feel free to flame me for this, for saying, like, you know, bad information. Sure, man. But that's just how I see it. It might be ignorant, but yeah. So he said that, which I thought was really interesting because of the current wipe viewership and all that other stuff. Now, obviously, people are challenging him to, like arguing to him to say, like, well, can you prove it then? Can you show us the numbers? Guys, if you want my real take, I genuinely think there's more people playing PvE Tarkov than PvP. Why? Because it's playable. That's the difference. It is Tarkov playable. No long queue times, no transit bullshit, no hardcore stuff. You can just play. I would say there's probably more players on PvE than PvP at the start of a wipe, which is astronomical. Again, I can't prove that. I'm just thinking about it logically, right? It would make sense to why more people enjoy it. I also mentioned this to my chat and asked them how many of them are just playing PvE now. A lot more just said they've jumped to PvE. So if Nikita wanted to say anything, I would honestly say, like, yeah, there is more players playing Tarkov, but they're on PvE. You know, it's a big difference. So, yeah, I don't know. That's just the way I see that. Definitely an interesting topic if you want to take it the way you want to take it, obviously. But yeah, clearly old Tarkov has always been king for viewership and player interest. Because at the end of the day, guys, it comes down to one thing. Making Tarkov a second job for people is not the way. And I think, you know, the people that are in this video right now, I really hope that people that actually have, like, you know, lives and jobs and kids and are trying to find, like, they found ways to enjoy this wipe and they're enjoying it. I'm really happy for you, man. I hope you continue to enjoy that. But that doesn't mean you should be upset that other people aren't happy. And that's a big trend I've seen on Twitter. People will, like, you know, criticize this wipe, have contradictions to the wipe, and say that why they don't like it or why it's bad. And then a lot of the people that say that they enjoy the wipe are now chiming in telling them that they're wrong. Dude, if you're enjoying the wipe, why interact with it? Right? You're having fun. Why would you interact with something that is going to make you not have fun or upset you? If you're having fun, continue to have fun and ignore all the negativity, bro. I don't understand it. And it seems like a lot of those guys aren't completely truthful in the things that they're saying. They're more focused on trying to prove people wrong that the wipe is fun for them, and it should be fun for you, rather than them just playing. So I also don't understand that as well. It's kind of crazy. Obviously, here's Pestilly with his criticism. And again, I completely agree with Pest. I've spoke to Pest about this quite a bit. The transits, that's the biggest problem by far. The bug abuse, and obviously the fact that it takes 10 years to get a raid. Obviously, Hyper is chiming in here with opinion as well, which is obviously good to see. And yeah, again, we know that everything's going to come in waves, so it's gradually going to get better. But the way I see it is, it's too late, man. You've already pissed off most people, and if anything, you're going to piss people off more. Why? Because the people that currently like how hard the wipe is, which is, like, I think a decent bit of people do like it's hardcore. Not the majority. I think majority of people hate it. Based on the feedback that I've seen, it's been worse than the Unheard Edition drama, genuinely. And the reason I say that is the difference between Unheard drama and this drama is Unheard happened and people like boycotted the game and stopped playing for a while, but they all came back, right? A lot of people came back. We can argue about it, but I think it's true. Tarkov's a one-of-a-kind game, and at the end of the day, I think people know that, and I think people push past the, what do you want to call it? The microtransaction bullshit and all of the other shady practices that they were doing. A lot of games do stupid shit like this, and I'm not defending BSG by any means, but again, Tarkov's a one-of-a-kind game, and I think after all the Unheard drama, a lot of people did come back and play, because Tarkov's one-of-a-kind, man. It's an amazing game. I love it. Very passionate about this game, if you guys can tell. I wouldn't complain about it so much if I wasn't. But yeah, I think this wipe has more negative drama around it, and that's the difference, right? People came back after Unheard. I don't think people are coming back after Hardcore, because the first impression, things that have been said, and Nakia crashing out on Twitter is also another example of just how badly handled this has been, in my opinion. Like, I think right here he was generally being like serious, like telling someone to shut the fuck up is kind of crazy. It's actually funny though. I kind of respect it to some extent, but like this guy said, "You destroyed your game, bro," and I do agree to him to an extent. He has, and then this guy goes, "Oh, shut the fuck up." Like, it's funny on Nakia's behalf that you just say it. I respect it, but at the same time, it's also bad, right? Because there is a lot of people. There's way more people that dislike this wipe than like it. So it's just, you know, bad impressions. And then obviously he backs down here and then goes back on what he said and just said he's joking, and then mentions every opinion matters. Now, I hope he's being genuine here with this part. Every opinion matters, because if he is, amazing. That is really good. But I have some skepticism there on that. But I'm gonna be positive and hope that he is being genuine there with all of that stuff. And as you guys know, like loot has been nerfed, which is, in my opinion, another thing that shouldn't have changed. With the wipe being hardcore, the game Tarkov is naturally already hardcore, and I've said this to my stream a lot. If you're gonna like be new to Tarkov, okay, in any iteration of the game, and you gave someone 1 billion rubles, okay, just a brand new player, I would say like 7, 8 times out of 10, they would still get shit on every raid. You know why? Because Tarkov's hardcore elements are in game knowledge, man. And you need to spend thousands of hours to get this game knowledge. Learning the maps, learning the spawns, learning the AI spawns, learning which types of AI are stronger and more difficult, which type of bosses, the mechanics of grenades, the timers, bullet information, recall on guns, how to build guns. That is the hardcore elements of Tarkov. That's what makes Tarkov is a hard game. Knowing all the loot spawns, etc., right? You could give a new player 1 billion rubles and he would still get shit on 9 times out of 10. I don't know, man. I've always said it. Tarkov's naturally a hard game just because of how much time you need to sink into it to understand these things. So what comes to with the loot is that they nerf loot once again this wipe, which I think was just a terrible decision. I think because there's no flea market and the nerfs that came to loot last wipe, if anything, loot should have been buffed this wipe to accommodate for all of the negative changes, or hardcore changes, if you want to call it that. So people have been playing, obviously, and this is a clip right here of people opening Red Room on labs. And this is the loot. I know the quality's awful, by the way, but yeah. This is like one of the rarest keys in the game, by the way.
This is good. This is really good.
Ooh.
Oh shit. A front sight.
Ooh.
Red Room.
That's really good in my...
Rarest key in the game. Crazy. So, this leads to another point now, okay? You guys remember, I actually tweeted Nikita earlier in this wipe asking if they've thought of nerfing scav runs and ref to accommodate for all the other nerfs so that there isn't anything that can contradict the hardcore wipe. Because in my mind, again, if you're going to do this, you've got to go all in and not half-ass it, because the half-assing it will cause issues like we've got now. I mentioned this to him early wipe, and he responded, and I was really happy that he responded, because it was like, nice, bro. It seems like they've thought of everything. And he basically said, yes, we've nerfed scav runs, and yes, we've nerfed ref. Now, fast forward a few days into the wipe. They haven't. And this is going to be a hot take here. Arena is pay-to-win as shit. Genuinely, it is the most pay-to-win expansion of any game, any update they've added into the game. It is. It's the most pay-to-win update of all time. You know why? Because if you were to try and make money in current Tarkov right now, it is insanely difficult. As example, the clip I've just shown you, loot is like this, and yes, you can make money, but it's definitely hard, right? You need keys, and even then, the keyed rooms are like that, and it's hard to maintain any sort of like income, like flow of cash. So, why is Arena pay to win as shit? You can hop on Arena, get money for playing games, do dailies, do weeklies, and then you can transfer that wealth across daily. Now, since yesterday, I think they've nerfed the amount that you can transfer, but it is still overpowered. Now, I was saying to my chat, I think Arena is a game that needs to be good, needs to be better than Tarkov in loot ways for people to want to play it, because I don't think BSG is capable of actually making that game enjoyable. The way I've always seen Arena is like, it was old Tarkov PvP taken out from the main game and sold as a separate product. I've always said that, sadly, and those are the things I used to love about old Tarkov was the PvP, and I think that's what they did with that game, and I think that's a problem that they can't fix, right? And obviously, you may have other opinions on why you don't like Arena, but that's the way I've always seen it. So that in itself made me always dislike it, because they basically just took the thing that we liked and sold it as a separate product. And it just doesn't feel the same, right? Because Tarkov PvP it's fun with all the elements of other Tarkov things in it, which we've spoken about quite a bit over the years. But basically, the problem with Arena, it being pay to win as shit, is that you can transfer like 500k rubles a day or 750k a day through the traders to the main game. Now, if you were to do that through the actual game Tarkov and play normal raids with all the queue times, transit zones and stuff, that's really hard to make that money, man. And if you don't have Arena, that's a lot of loss of income that you could be having. And then also, your skills level up quite quickly on Arena. The games are a lot quicker. You get GP coins, which also give you a massive advantage to gear. It allows you to buy like overpowered ammo, guns, armor, helmets. Now, to BSG, I will give you credit here. They have nerfed those things. I think they've like tripled the price of everything through the traders, but it is still viable, in my opinion, to buy some of this stuff. Although ref isn't available right now to buy those things, you're still able to benefit from the rubles, and also the fact that skills level faster. So I do think that Arena is pay to win as shit this wipe for sure. Now, another thing that I think is also crazy is the different editions of the game now actually have a crazy emphasis on the wipe. Because of the limited storage and the inventory and the fact that you've got to hoard everything now, as there's no flea market to offload your loot through, and scav cases are like 2 mil, it is now really hard to micromanage inventory space, which is a big problem. Maybe it's done from a business perspective, which I could see why BSG would do that. I'm not saying they are doing that, but that's just what it definitely looks like. It looks like to me that if you don't have a higher version of the game, you're going to have a really bad time with micromanagement. This wipe is definitely a thing I've noticed, and I have the best edition of the game. I'm running out of stash space, and because there's no good flow of income in the game, the main game, you can't really buy anything from the traders, because they don't have anything. The best thing you can buy for stash space is a scav junk box, and it costs 2 mil. I've been on 1.5 mil the entire wipe so far, because money is so hard to maintain. And bearing in mind, guys, I have like an 88% survival rate or something. I've lived like 30 out of the 35 raids that I've done. So I've been successful in my raids. I've killed people, got their gear, and I'm still poor. Because they've nerfed the value of items that you sell as well. So I don't know if that's a business thing to make people buy more expensive editions of the game or stash space so they can make money from that. Either way, if it is that way, it's pretty predatory, and I can see why they're doing it. It's definitely a good business model in that sense. I hope it's not that, but I'm definitely leaning a bit towards that as well. But yeah, there's a lot of problems with this wipe, man, and I've really... Guys, you got to understand something. I like change. I like trying different things, man. Genuinely. And I actually think there's a lot of fun things with this wipe. I like the fact that the early wipe has been delayed. I like the fact that I'm not using meta guns. I like the fact that I'm like running around with bad gear, and every time I kill someone, it's like, ooh, does this guy have something good? You know, like, I like that. That's fun. It's good. But it's half-assed. And then we'll quickly get to the bosses here for a second. The one good thing about this wipe, in my opinion, is that bosses are 100% spawn rate. But there comes some contradiction here again. If you are someone that is decent at the game, it's not hard to kill Tigz and kill her and then get best in slot gear. And obviously, if you watch Desmond or Hyperat or anyone else, that's what most of the good players have been doing. Now, that basically is just overpowered, right? You can, like, get the best in slot gear, run around, and they'll destroy people with bis gear or bis armor, which kind of contradicts the idea of hardcore. Now, I don't think that's completely a bad thing. I think you want that sense of, like, nice, I got some really good gear. Since today, BSG has actually nerfed spawn rates of bosses down to 70%, which I think is justified. The problem is with that, though, is if they continue to nerf it, because I think the bosses are the one thing that gives you a bit of fun right now, is you've got something to look forward to, right? Like, boss always being up is always a guaranteed upgrade, which is really nice. And right now, there's not really many of those. So I don't really know the solution or fix there. But yeah, that's another thing to talk on. They've reduced the bosses down from 100 to 70%. Sadly, I think this is going to get drastically reduced. If it gets reduced all the way down to what it used to in previous wipes, I just don't think people are going to continue to play even more so. Woods location is now available for selection. This is really good. You can now play Woods. Great. But again, this doesn't change the fact that people have got a bad taste in their mouth, and I don't think people are going to come back and give the wipe a second chance, which is the whole topic of this video. But yeah, rant-wise, I think I've said all that I wanted to say. I don't think there's really much else to cover. I think in short, the best way to look at this is the wipe was half-assed, and it wasn't full sent like it should have been. I think BSG haven't acted quick enough to, like, compensate things that people don't like, and I don't think they've listened to our feedback at all quick enough. They should have changed the transit zones as soon as possible. And, I mean, listen. If transit zones wasn't forced, and all maps were available for selection, I think this wipe would have actually been really fun. Obviously, other things would creep up, other issues, and, like, contradict the wipe. But I think that's probably the biggest one. I hope they can figure it out. I think it's probably too late. And I'm still going to stream the wipe because I've been having fun with my friends. And I think that's another thing. Play with friends if you want to have fun. This game is way too hard now, solo. You're just not going to have a good time. And if you are having a good time solo, I'm happy for you, man. You should continue to do so. But yeah, that pretty much concludes the video. I guess this was kind of like a rant. I didn't really, like, think things out here as, like, 100%. I could have formatted this video better, but I'm short on time. So I thought I would just leave it like this. If you guys have enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. I'm really hoping they can claw back the players and people's interests, but it's going to be a hard one, man. And so far, it's not looking too good. But hey, we'll see how it goes. We got another 5 months of this wipe, more than likely. 1.0 at the end of the year. And let's hope that they figure that out. Hopefully, some point in the future, Tarkov gets private servers so that everyone who enjoys Tarkov for different reasons can enjoy their version of the game without being ostracized or forced to enjoy something that they don't like. No, I know it's not our game, it's BSG's game, but you've got to have some boundaries, I think, especially when a lot of people have bought the game in different iterations of it. You've got to have some boundaries, man, because this wipe is a prime example of how not having those boundaries is just ostracized majority of your players. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video or rant, whatever it might be. And if you don't agree with my stuff and you see this video as complaining, then I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't really care. And hopefully you enjoy other people's content. But yeah, I'll see you guys on the live stream. Thank you for watching. There will be raid videos uploaded as usual. And good luck to you, BSG, for fixing the game, I guess. Good luck.